Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ follower's perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with KD Smooth at One Brothas Mind.
The time for scared, lip trembling, word changing, self-denying, compromising, knee shaking black people is over. If you have something to say, speak up with authority and conviction. If not, sit down and shut up. We have to have the power to tell the truth, to say whatever is necessary, to do what needs to be done, whatever it is, no matter who it may hurt.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's KD Smooth coming back at you with a new report. I pray you all are doing well. Shalom, family. In today's report, we are going to discuss this issue on your screen, the immigration issue and the southern border issue here, but we're going to discuss it from some new angles, if you will, some new perspectives. There's been a couple of new developments that most of you have not heard about that I'm going to share with you. There are developments that are not being really broadcast on the mainstream media on purpose because they like to hide the truth. They like to hide the truth. It looks like Hasatan is playing with our internet feed here. So if we end up having too much difficulty, we will rebroadcast this, but I digress. Moving forward. There's a couple new developments that are not really being shared and broadcast by mainstream media, and we're going to share those with you today in this report, okay? In this report, I got 3 video clips that I'm going to share with you. Wow, the devil's busy, y'all. He's messing with my feed bad right now. But we're gonna try to push through. And again, I'm gonna share 3 clips with you, and we're gonna go over these issues, these new developments, and see what you think. Okay? All right. But before we get started, please, if you appreciate our content here at One Brothas Mind, smash the like button, share this report and all of our reports on all of your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brothas Mind, where we try to bring you the information, truth, and facts you need. All right, so let's dig in here, family. We're gonna start off with our first clip. Basically, a brief summary. Y'all know about the immigration issue on the southern borders. We're going to cover this clip. Starts out with an issue there in Texas. First off, y'all know illegal immigration is illegal. There is a way to legally immigrate into the U.S., but there is also illegal immigration. So we're going to dig in. I'm going to share the differences between those two with you. But specifically here in our first clip, it's supposed to be the federal government's job to stop, prevent, and deal with illegal immigration. Okay? But under the Biden administration, at least as well as others, it ain't just Biden, it ain't just the Democrats. It's the same hustle. They just approach it differently, whether it's the Democrat demons or the Republican demons. It's the same, so don't get it twisted. But right now, they're really not enforcing the illegal immigration laws on the southern borders. And this specific clip is in Texas. So Texas has come up with a law of their own, which basically mirrors, to a certain extent, the illegal immigration federal law, where it gives Texas officials, law enforcement, what have you, the ability to apprehend and arrest illegal immigrants. That's immigrants that do not have any type of legal status or documentation to be here in the United States, or in that case, in Texas. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to get into our first clip where they're going to break this down a little bit more, and then we'll come back at the end of the clip and continue. All right, here we go. Here's our first clip. Okay.
And 3 immigration bills passing in the Texas House. One of them would allow police officers to arrest migrants. The bill, however, as you can imagine, is a point of serious contention between both parties in the House, and some representatives believe House Bill 4 could ultimately lead to racial profiling in communities such as El Paso. Our KTSM 9 News reporter Shelby Capp has that story.
It hurts us to our core. And y'all don't understand that. Y'all don't live in our
Democratic House Representative for Houston Armando Wall speaking with Republican House members as tensions were high over House Bill 4 that would allow police officers to apprehend, arrest, or send back migrants.
I can't go to a baptism because my community is being attacked. Y'all don't understand. Dude, hurts our community. It hurts us personally, bro.
There's not a person in this chamber who wishes that we were dealing with this topic.
Right.
It's the federal government's responsibility to secure our southern border, and they've refused to do that. So it's left for us to deal with, and that's what we're going to do.
House Representative for El Paso, Lena Ortega, sending a statement reading in part, quote, "This bill dehumanizes immigrants and promotes intimidation and fear throughout communities like mine." The Border Network for Human Rights in El Paso voicing their concerns as well.
One of the biggest concerns is that anyone, police officers, a park security officer, can just do racial discrimination and assume that this person, because it looks by a certain color or does not speak a certain language, that they will be asked about their status.
Abortion has become an issue.
Apologies for that colonizer invasion. We're going to get rid of that colonizer invader, and we're going to get back to our clip here in just a moment. Give me just a moment, family, to get rid of this colonizer invader. Y'all know how they do. Okay. I want to replay one clip, one part of this clip here really quick for you. Give me a second. Let me get it queued up. Okay. This part. Bear with me, family. All right, here we go. I want to replay this part. We're going to go over several parts of this clip, but at this point, I want to replay this part of the clip right here. Here we go. And I want you to focus on, when you see the lady come on the screen, I want you to focus on what she's saying, okay? Because this is, you can't miss this. This is so rich. Here we go.
Police officers, a park security officer, can just do racial discrimination and assume.
She just said, with this new Texas law, the police can do racial discrimination and basically profiling if and when they ask an Hispanic person in Texas for legal documentation to prove that they are either a U.S. citizen or a legal immigrant here on some legal status here in the U.S. as a part of their efforts to find and identify illegal immigrants. That's what the police would be doing. Basically, in layman's terms, they could walk up to a crowd of Hispanic people, ask all of them for their citizenship status documentation or what have you. And if a few of them have no documentation or falsified documentation that they can fraudulent documentation, the police then would be able to legally apprehend, arrest those individuals who cannot prove their legal U.S. status, and then move them in the direction of being potentially deported. And what she's saying, what the political representative there in Texas is saying, what they're suggesting is the Texas police doing this is racial discrimination. To do this, I'm gonna let it play again, just really quick, so you don't miss what's being said. Here we go.
One, police officers, a park security officer can just do racial discrimination and assume that this person, because it looks by a certain color or does not speak a certain language, that they will be asked about their status.
Okay, y'all seen that. So, yeah. So let's chop that up. Because on the surface, let's see here, let me go back. On the surface, if you don't really understand what's all the details about this, you might agree with that perspective. Right? Basically, the police can walk up to a crowd or a group of Hispanic people here in the United States and ask or request their driver's license or whatever legal status, legal U.S. status documentation they have, a visa, work visa, whatever the case may be. They can request that documentation to be presented, to be verified. And as long as they present that documentation, okay, cool. The police are going to move on. But if somebody cannot present real legal documentation that authorizes them to be here legally in the United States, they then could be apprehended and arrested and again moved in the direction of being deported. And this political representative and multiple groups, as you heard in the clip, including this lady that was on the screen, they're saying this is racial discrimination. Basically, family, what they're attempting to do is ride the racial discrimination coattails of us, the so-called black people here in America, which we all are legal U.S. citizens. But we all have still been victim of racial discrimination throughout the last few centuries. Okay, real racial discrimination. Now, some of you are going, well, wait a minute, Katie Smooth, it sounds like it's about the same. They asking for their papers like they used to ask us for. They're going to be asking for their papers. Yeah, that's true. That part is true. It's basically what the police would be allowed to do. But it's for a different reason. It's for the reason of confirming legal status here in the United States. It's not to try to identify runaway slaves. It's not to try to identify or discriminate or prevent so-called black people from the liberty of free movement and travel around the United States, people who are actually citizens. It's not to restrict that. Do you see the difference? All of us so-called black Americans are all, at some point, we were all given full legalized U.S. citizenship. Okay? So asking for our papers had nothing to do with our citizenship. It was literal racial discrimination from people who hated us and hate us, are not happy with our free movement and travel and living our lives here, moving around the U.S., in our country, in our states, in our cities where we reside. This situation, asking for citizenship paperwork from Hispanic people, is to identify and confirm their actual citizenship status. It's not based on their color. It could be someone Asian immigrants. It could be Ukrainian immigrants, which y'all know they ain't gonna touch them. But it could be especially other so-called black immigrants, like Haitian immigrants, or other black immigrants from other areas, right? But of course, it would seem, according to this report, that the focus is going to be on finding and identifying Hispanic immigrants who are coming in from the south of the border. Why? Once again, because the federal government already has a law to do this exact thing, to apprehend and arrest and then ultimately deport anyone that has entered the U.S. illegally. You can enter the U.S. legally, following all of the legal steps to do so. I'm going to share those with you in a moment. But many immigrants that are entering the U.S. are entering the U.S. illegally. This is to capture or stop and add deterrent to the illegal immigration. Okay? Not regular immigration. If you didn't know, there is a difference. Okay? And again, it works the same for so-called black immigrants, Asian immigrants, whoever's trying to immigrant. And again, y'all know any immigrants that are basically white people, they're not going to really stop them or try to see what their status is. But y'all get it, right? So for these political representatives and this activist to suggest that this is racial discrimination in the same category, in the same line as how we so-called black Americans have been and still are racially discriminated against and profiled, to suggest that's the same, family, is not only an absolute lie from the pit of hell, but it's a total insult to the racial discrimination that we have and still are experiencing here in the U.S. Do you see that? It's not the same. Yeah, you could, I mean, with the wiggle room, you try to add some wiggle room in there. It's like, okay, they're going to be asking Hispanic looking people or people they hear that don't speak the same language, hey, where's your paperwork? So on the surface, yes, you could say, well, that seems to be, you're only asking that because of the appearance of the person or people, the racial appearance, or you hear they speak a different language. So on the surface, you could try to say that. But when you go below the surface, you realize this is in response to illegal immigration. There's an actual crime on the books that says immigrants cannot enter the United States illegally. And that's all they're looking to do, is to be able to enforce that in Texas. Right? So with that being said, again, on the surface, I get it. I understand how this will be felt, especially by our Hispanic brothers and sisters that are U.S. citizens already. I get it. For them, that's exactly what it's going to feel like, is racial discrimination. But as the old saying goes, the devil is in the details. Now, here's the thing. You most likely don't hear these Hispanic politicians there in Texas, or this advocate lady that you heard from. Most likely you don't hear them stomping for and advocating for the stoppage or prevention of illegal immigration. Unless the clip this news source put out, okay, and I'm actually going to show you the source so there's no question of where I got it from. It's here, KTSM News 9 out of the Texas House. You can YouTube it and find this source, okay? But with that being said, you can't really, you can say that on the surface, but the devil's in the details. And the detail is they're not just doing it for just to be doing it because you're black, so-called. They're doing it to restrict, stop illegal immigration. Okay? And why is all the immigration happening in the first place? Of course, the United States has absolutely been meddling in the governments and political systems in South America for centuries. And they've screwed their countries up, made most of the countries in South America unbearable, extremely dangerous, and practically unlivable. This is why the immigration is happening. So I support immigration, legal immigration, for those reasons. You know, our Hispanic brothers and sisters coming up trying to immigrate based on seeking asylum and following the rules, the laws, and the structures and the processes to get that accomplished. I fully support that because, again, the United States government has jacked up most all their countries. Okay? So they got to be able to go somewhere, and I ain't mad at them, going, y'all jacked up our countries. Y'all got us living in sheer poverty. Our economies are jacked. We got cartels and other dangerous situations going on. It's just absolutely unbearable. We're trying to protect our lives and the lives of our children, trying to get to safer environments, and hey, actually potentially have a way of providing a reasonable life for our families. I fully support that. So don't get it twisted. But illegal immigration, I do not support. And for those, so I know there's some of y'all sitting in the far back going, well, there used to be laws that said Just because something's laws don't mean the law is right or correct. I mean, there used to be laws that said slavery was legal. You know, I hear you, but keep all that. For now, based on the information that we have from this report, we're dealing with this law that Texas is implementing or looking to implement. Okay? So, again, unless this news source has, like, it was a longer clip, more information from the political representative as well as the advocate, unless there was more footage of them saying, we also are against illegal immigration, then disregard most of what I'm about to share with you. But that's not the information we have. We can only go by what we have. They didn't say that in this clip. Okay? So, as I said before, to suggest that this law is essentially racial discrimination is a flat out lie. And without any other evidence, they're playing both sides or speaking with a forked tongue. They full well know that to say that, to use our suffering for their advantage without stomping for and fighting for the stoppage of illegal immigration, without doing that, they know that the Hispanic community, especially the immigrant community, they are going to benefit from this campaign either way or on both sides. They know this. So again, they're speaking with a forked tongue without contending against illegal immigration with the same effort, the same passion, sponsoring and promoting the stoppage of illegal immigration. In a moment here, I'm going to share you a clip and show you the difference between legal immigration and illegal immigration. But based on the information we have in this news report, they didn't say that. They're not stomping for eliminating illegal immigration, which by not doing that, they're speaking with a forked tongue, or they're omitting that side of this issue. And for those that don't know, omitting information, just not bringing it up, that's also a lie and dishonest. That's another way some people speak with a forked tongue, especially politicians. And with that being said, if y'all don't know, Katie Smooth, I don't do liars. I don't do lies. Because there's only one source for lies. It's on your screen. As it reads in John chapter 8, verse 44, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, which includes lying by omission, which according to the clip, that's what they're doing. Because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So I don't care if it's your mama, your cat, rat, dog, the president, whoever you are dealing with. If you see them lying to someone else, or first time or two they lie to you, they're telling you who they are, what kind of character they have, and basically saying, in my opinion here at One Brothas Mind, you need to leave them hell alone. You need to get away from that person. They're untrustworthy. They are of their father, the devil. Okay? Now, yes, there's the aspect of apologizing and asking for forgiveness for something like that, but that's a different, separate issue. Okay? They are speaking these lies, speaking with a forked tongue on this issue on purpose, because they know in doing so, the Hispanic community, legalized or illegal migrants, as a whole, the Hispanic community is going to benefit either way. That's why they're doing this. Okay? Yeah, I said, even if it's your own mama, I don't care. People who lie, you got to get away from if they don't atone. Now, here is an image of legal immigration, where there's an actual immigration or border station where immigrants arrive, they get in line, and they go through the process of the legal process of entering the United States, which a big part of it is basically creating an identification trail for each person that enters into the United States, as well as other aspects. But that's the legal way to do it. And yeah, I know you can see the line. The line is crazy long. It could be excruciating hot outside and all that. It would be better if they had some type of covered tenant area or something, so people ain't standing out in the beating hot sun, things like that, to try to make improvements. And I'm sure there's other improvements that can be made, but this is what we have right now. Okay? And the fact that the lines are long is not necessarily the border station's fault. That's just because that's how many immigrants are arriving and attempting the regular process. But here in our second clip, I'm going to show you what illegal immigration looks like. Allow me to get the clip together for you, family. Here we go. Here in just a moment. Okay, these are immigrants, as you've seen, that have made the decision. Here's where my source is, the New York Post, on this clip. They made the decision to attempt to enter the U.S. illegally for whatever reason. They don't want to wait through the long lines at the regular legal process way. Whatever you want to call it, but they've made the decision to literally bum rush or overwhelm the border station in that area. And this happens at all the different border stations. When enough people arrive and they're waiting or planning to do this bum rush or whatever, because they realize that if they bum rush the border station, it's so many of them in number that they will overwhelm the border agents. And through the process of just rushing the station, many or most of them will literally get past the border agents and be able to continue into Texas in this case, right? And most of the people that make it past the border agents without being arrested or grabbed, they're basically home free, even though they're illegal. They're home free to continue to move deeper into Texas and set up shop, find some sort of safe shelter, and start to try to figure out how to operate from there. They have no ID, no nothing. We don't know who they are, where they come from, nothing. So That's why that's illegal. It's one of the reasons why that's illegal. Okay? So clearly there's a difference between legal immigration and just illegal immigration, just bum rushing, or even a lot of immigrants they'll find a little secluded area to try to climb over a part of a fence or climb under a fence or whatever the case may be. Literally insulting us. Oh my God, I hope I didn't have sound technical difficulties. I think I may have had, but we're going to continue and we'll check that here in a moment. So again, without advocating against the illegal immigration, going hard for that, they're lying on purpose because they know they're going to benefit, and the Hispanic community either way is still going to benefit. Okay. Yeah, I think my mic was off for just a moment. So we'll get through it. We will get through it. All right. So with that being said, family, that's what we're dealing with. This is the legal way to enter into the United States as claiming asylum for any immigrant. That's what the current law is. Okay? So with that being said, whether it's the federal government or the local government from the border towns, since the federal government and Biden and them are not enforcing these laws, the local governments from the border towns, they have to take action. In this case, Texas is saying, well, Biden is not making the federal government do it, so we have to do it. And we're going to do it because we have to stop illegal immigration, not the immigration on your screen, but illegal immigration, the bum rushing, the sneaking across in whatever way. Okay? Now, on your screen, pause the video if you need to, but the legal process is on your screen of how an immigrant, no matter where they come from, the steps that they need to take. You can follow the flow chart that applies. Each arrow is a different aspect. And just follow it, and you have to follow this process ultimately until you get to a point where you have a hearing if you're claiming asylum, and a judge, a U.S. judge or court, gets to decide whether your asylum is granted or declined. If it's declined, you're deported. If it's granted, then you get your whatever legalized documentation that says you have been granted asylum, and you move further in the process to getting all your identification information, as well as then you can then go through the process to pursue actual U.S. citizenship. So if you need to, pause this, look it over, follow each process line to see how it works currently. Okay? So with that being said, again, what these Hispanic politicians are doing is literally a direct insult to us, family, the so-called Black Americans. We're not immigrants. We're the only people, other than Native Americans, we're the only people in the U.S. that are not immigrants. Everybody else is. And we, as y'all know, had to fight through all this racial discrimination just to get what little concessions we currently have, including the 14th Amendment, which confirms that we should not, or no state shall, let me get it right, nor any state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. We had to fight for that because of racial discrimination, real racial discrimination. We're not immigrants. We didn't enter the U.S. illegally. Actually, the people that brought us here committed illegal crimes and inhumane crimes to kidnap us and bring us here. Do you see the difference? Which is why these Hispanic politicians and advocates, it's a complete insult and attack on us and what our ancestors have gone through and what we still go through to this very day. Do you see that, family? Okay. So with that said, I want to real quick now focus on this other part real quick. I want you to really focus in and listen to this Hispanic politician really closely. Okay? I'm going to play it a couple times. He's sounding like he's really going far to try to make it sound like this is a racial discrimination issue. Okay? He's going all the way in. Everything he's saying and doing is an insult to us, family. It's completely disrespectful to what we've gone through and who we are and our status here in the U.S. as being virtually the only people in this country who are not immigrants and have endured the discrimination of white supremacy in this country. Here we go. Listen closely.
Migrants.
Can't go to a baptism because my community is being attacked. Y'all don't understand that dude hurts our community. It hurts us personally.
All right. Would it hurt so much if this same politician and all the others were fighting just as hard to stop illegal immigration? Because that's actually what's hurting the Hispanic community that are legalized citizens. Do you see that? It's not the officers in Texas. They're trying to stop a problem that they cannot afford to let continue as a state. And yet, where everything is right now, to try to get a grip on it and get it under control, yeah, they're going to have to start asking Hispanic people for their citizenship papers. Which again, on the surface, it sounds similar or the same as when they used to do that to us, but it's not. I'm going to run this back one more time. Listen to our Hispanic brother and how he really going in on this, which is completely a lie and disrespectful and an insult.
Arrest or send back migrants.
Can't go to a baptism because my community is being attacked. Y'all don't understand that dude hurts our community. It hurts us personally, bro.
Yes, it does. Because the part that he's correct on is the Hispanic community that are citizens will be enduring these questions, having to respond to prove their citizenship. It's going to be a major inconvenience. But again, this same politician and all the others, what are they doing to stop illegal immigration, to help stop it? Most of them, if not all of them, nothing. Because they know their community is benefiting both ways. So they're playing both sides of the coin. Do you see that? All right. So let's move forward, family. Yeah, this is a touchy but an issue that you have to get into based on the details, because when you look at the real racial discrimination details, I'm going to show you a few examples on your screen. These are real examples of real racial discrimination that we, so-called black people here in the United States, black Americans from the transatlantic slave trade and the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. This is things we and our ancestors endured. Vagrancy laws. As soon as or shortly after so-called slavery was abolished here in the United States, they made new laws like vagrancy. So now you're free, but if the white supremacists catch you walking around and moving around and about, they can stop you, ask you if you had a job, which you were just a slave. No, most people didn't have no job. They were looking for places to get work and whatnot. So they got to move around to find it, right? Well, if you get stopped by these racist white supremacists, these previous slave owners, they're going to call the so-called sheriff and have you arrested for vagrancy. Throw you in jail, put you on the chain gang, which turns you back into a slave anyway, a legal slave here in the U.S. That's racial discrimination. Rapid fire, peonage laws, including vagrancy, loitering, riding the rails, changing jobs. Just the fact you change job, you start working, you find a job, you start working it, and then for some reason, say maybe the person that hired you for the job is starting to play games. They don't want to pay you what they said. They lied to you. So you're like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm done. I'm not doing this. And you literally leave that type of situation and go try to work somewhere else. They could arrest you for under the peonage law for just changing jobs, even though they're cheating you. Your previous job was trying to cheat you. Literally talking too loud in public. And on and on and on. Again, these laws are real racial discrimination laws where if arrested, you would be thrown on a chain gang, which basically makes you a slave, a legalized slave all over again. How about redlining? That's racial discrimination, where the banks only allowed home loans in certain areas where they try to funnel all of the so-called black home buyers into. And the rest of the areas of the city, everybody else could live everywhere else they wanted to, wherever they could afford to live. But they forced all the so-called black residents into certain impoverished, decaying areas because of racial discrimination. That's real racial discrimination. We so-called black citizens, we didn't do anything. We hadn't broken any laws. We were just trying to buy homes and so-called live the American dream, build wealth for our families. But they prevented all of that with redlining. That's real racial discrimination. Not, oh, we broke the law of illegal immigration, but if we get in and you catch us and arrest us once we're in, oh, that's racial discrimination. No, it's not. Do you see the difference? Rapid fire. What about when they pull us over like this for a regular traffic violation? Y'all know how the white supremacist race soldiers are. Most of them don't pull nobody else over like this, but they pull us over like this and then lie about it. Real racial profiling, racial discrimination. Okay? What about not hiring so-called black people? So bad to where they had to pass laws, equal employment laws here in this country, in an attempt to try to force and equalize our opportunities at jobs, just literally, because without it, most of them wouldn't hire us. Or if they did, they would hire us at far lower illegal cheating wages than they would pay the co-workers that were white. All kind of racial discrimination practices in employment. That's real racial discrimination. We didn't do anything to break a law and then claim we were being racially discriminated, but that's what they're doing. Do you see that, family? Remember, this is authorized immigration, legal immigration. You go through the process. However horrible the process is, if you made it to the border, go through the process. I fully support that here at One Brothas Mind. And with that being said, if you appreciate our report here, smash the like button, share this report on all your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brothas Mind, where we try to bring you the information, truth, and facts you need. Let's continue. I want to address a couple of other issues of things and the effects on the so-called black community. Y'all see how they're bringing the immigrants in, they're putting them in many places, cities, in these sanctuary cities and police stations or wherever they're putting them. But then when they go to move them out of those areas to give them a little bit more longer stay environment, y'all know they're putting them in primarily so-called black neighborhoods and black communities, right? Why are they doing that? Well, one, they believe they can get away with it. They believe we ain't gonna really do nothing to stop it. So, oh well, let's just do that. But in addition to that, they know, and there's a reason why they're doing it on purpose, that over a short period of time, if they move more and more immigrants into our communities, and as we move forward, more and more of these immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, they're going to gain a status, or some new laws are going to be put into place that's going to give most of the immigrants, illegal or not, the right to vote. And once they gain the right to vote, that completely changes the voting dynamics and numbers in so-called black communities. So even in communities where we are the primary demographic, they're changing all that on purpose, because they know, y'all, we most of us is like not playing this voting game with them no more. So they need new voters to replace all the votes that we're no longer going to be giving them, because they continue to just lie to us and take advantage of us. And if y'all don't know right now, KD Smooth, I stopped voting a long time ago. I seen the hustle in the system. I'm not participating in that trash. I'm not picking between one devil or the other devil. I ain't crazy. But many of us, so-called black citizens, still do. Why, I don't know, but y'all, that's what y'all want to do, go ahead. But voting, especially without demanding tangibles, and here at One Brothas Mind, I go a step further than most other places. You don't vote and ask for or demand tangibles. No, nah, bro, we're not doing that. You gonna give us tangibles that we're demanding, like reparations, a crime bill, hate crime bill, things of that nature. You're gonna give us those while you're currently in office, while you currently have the power to do it. Then if you do that, on your next campaign or re-election campaign, we'll vote for you. We'll give you our votes. Now that we have received tangible things that makes our lives better. We're not going off of the promises and the campaign speeches and all that crap, because all y'all do is lie. Put it on the table. Make it happen now. It doesn't matter what party it is. at this point. What devil it is, it doesn't matter. Whoever's in power, you want the vote of the black community, we will vote as one block. If you all go ahead now, while you're in power, while you're in office, give us at least one of the tangibles that we demand. Make it law. Done. No trickeration. If you do that, when you run to be reelected, we'll give you our vote. That's how those of us in the so-called black community need to be voting from here on. And trust me, the politicians get it. They understand. If we got the voting block of the so-called black community that's going to vote for us, if we give them the tangibles that they're asking for, they're demanding, we make it law. If we do that, we can get reelected. We can stay in power. So trust me, we have to show them that's what we're going to do by not voting. Family. By refusing to vote without any tangibles. Do you see that? But because of that whole ability that we have, we've always had that ability to do that. But because of that, they are purposely trying to dilute our voting numbers in our communities where we are the majority. That's why you got all these so-called sanctuary cities in democratic cities and states, and they're just busting them, the immigrants in, giving them a whole gang of money and resources, whether they're legal or illegal, giving them a gang of resources that they are not giving to us, which we help pay for with our own tax dollars. Again, more insults by our own government running game on us. They've been running game for centuries. Do you see that, family? So that's an additional effect of why they're doing this, moving migrants into our neighborhoods. But trust, they're not moving migrants into other neighborhoods or so-called white neighborhoods or other neighborhoods. I wonder why. Well, allow me to show you, just give you an example real quick. Bear with me, family. Allow me to give you an example of why they're not doing this. Okay? Just allow me to give you a brief example of why they're not moving migrants into predominantly white neighborhoods or other neighborhoods. Okay? In this clip here. Here we go now.
Of migrants turned violent today. 12th Ward Alderwoman Julia Ramirez says she and her aide were attacked during a migrant tent city protest in Brighton Park. A crowd was captured on video swarming the pair. NBC5's V Win with reaction from other lawmakers tonight.
It was a tense morning for 12th Ward Alderwoman Julia Ramirez as she came face to face with her constituents who were angry over the city's proposed plan for migrants in their neighborhood. Protesters can be seen pushing and shoving. The alderwoman and her staff were flanked by Chicago police officers. They tried leaving when she says they were assaulted. Demonstrators gathered all day at 38th in California. The city is proposing to turn this vacant lot into a base camp for migrants.
We are the person live in the community. Why? We don't know about that.
Brighton Park is not big enough for all these people.
The alderwoman addressed what happened hours later as disappointing. She said she was trying to talk to concerned residents and to clear misinformation about her involvement with the city's proposed plan when things took a turn. She released a statement saying in part, "I hear my residents and want them to know I will always advocate for their safety and ensure our communities have the resources they deserve. I also respect everyone's right to peacefully protest. However, violence and hate is not the answer." Mayor Brandon.
All right. You get the gist, family. But here's the important part, because the mainstream media always lies. Remember what I told you earlier about liars. Here's the important part. This protest occurred, as you saw, in a white, Hispanic, and Asian mixed community. When the mayor of Chicago, as they said, finally decided to try to use a location for migrants in one of those communities, the communities where most of the people identify as white, oh, they got bum rushed. They got physically attacked. Yeah, you haven't seen this on your main mainstream media channels, because this is the type of response that you're going to get, or they're going to get, if they try to move immigrants into white communities or white identifying communities. This is it. Oh, there's going to be physical attack protests, if you will. They're going to shut them down. They're going to do pretty much any means necessary. Do you see that, family? So that's why they have been predominantly focused on moving migrants, legal or illegal, into the majority black communities. Because if black people came out with a protest like this, which some areas have, and the protesters actually attacked the mayor of Chicago or the other representatives, political representatives that were responsible for moving the migrants, illegal or illegal, into our communities, oh, you will see this story on every mainstream satanic media channel everywhere. They would be, man, y'all already know. Y'all already know how this go. But they're burying and keeping this story more hush-hush. Do you see that? Just wanted to also show you another impact or effect on the so-called black community. Okay? All right, let's move forward. So keep in mind, they're spending billions of dollars and giving billions, not millions, billions collectively in the U.S. for illegal immigrants, people that are not citizens, that have never paid taxes, as well as immigrants, legal immigrants that are coming in through the legal process. But collectively, they're providing billions of money and resources for people who haven't done no work, who haven't paid no taxes, who haven't been enslaved, who haven't been raped, lynched, deleted, terrorized, none of that. And still pay taxes, people who have fought in their wars. These billions aren't coming to us. You would think so-called black people should be at least the priority. I'm not saying they can't help legal immigrants. I'm not saying it, because again, as I said at the beginning of this report, the U.S. is the one that's destroyed the countries and economies over in South America. So there's some consequences to that. Absolutely. Legal immigrants. So shouldn't we be getting our reparations, cash reparations, if not first, or at least at the same time, while they're providing free money and resources to immigrants who haven't really contributed yet fully to the country, or illegal immigrants who haven't, they're illegal, they ain't contributing and paying taxes or none of that, but they're getting all these services, all this free money, housing, food, everything, foods to everything. Meanwhile, the so-called black homeless population across the country has absolutely exploded. They're not getting no extra assistance, extra resources, or money or help. Yeah. With that said, to the U.S. government, the banks, the colleges, corporations, the insurance companies, and the businesses, cut the check now. Cash. We don't need no study. You already know what y'all have done, what y'all owe. Calculate the calculations. Cut the cash check. No Bitcoin, no home loans, no other kind of jack-led trickeration programs where we never touch or the money for our reparations in our hands. We don't have full 100% control of it. Nah. They always trying that, where they want to transfer reparations money from one group of white hands to the next group of white hands. It never touches our hand where we get to decide what we want to do with our reparations. So there you have it, family. Y'all let me know what y'all think of this situation. Like I said, they're not really pushing these different reports that I've shared with you out here on mainstream media. You got to dig to find this stuff. And real quick, I want to give another shout out to our brother from TD Hip Hop Media. You see his channel here, right there on YouTube. That's where I got a clip of a report that he did for this final clip that you see on your screen. Definitely give his channel a check out. And y'all let me know what y'all think. You know, drop it in the comments. Do you disagree? If so, respectfully explain why. Make your case. You know, and we'll chop it up from there. And this concludes our broadcast here at One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us. And as a part of the new Black media, B1 choices are mandatory and being on code is required. But never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.